Marcus clutched a worn portfolio containing his best pieces, his palms slightly sweaty as he stepped into the lavish gallery. The air smelled faintly of polished wood and expensive cologne. The walls were adorned with paintings by established artists, their hefty price tags casually displayed. Marcus couldn't help but feel a mix of awe and intimidation. He approached the front desk, where a receptionist glanced at him with a fleeting look of disinterest. "I'd like to speak with the gallery owner," Marcus said, his voice calm but firm. The receptionist raised an eyebrow. "Do you have an appointment?" "No, but I think my work speaks for itself," Marcus replied, holding up his portfolio. After a moment of hesitation, the receptionist sighed and called for Victor, the gallery owner. Moments later, a tall man with a sharp suit and a sharper demeanor approached. He glanced at Marcus with a critical eye, his expression unreadable. "What can I do for you?" Victor asked, his tone dripping with impatience. Marcus took a deep breath and opened his portfolio, revealing a collection of vivid, thought-provoking pieces. Each painting told a story of resilience, culture, and the struggles of marginalized communities. The vibrant colors and intricate details seemed to leap off the pages. But Victor barely looked. Instead, he smirked and shook his head. "This isn't the kind of art we feature here," he said dismissively. "Did you even look at it?" Marcus asked, his frustration bubbling beneath the surface. Victor waved a hand dismissively. "I don't need to. It's not what our clientele expects. Good luck, though," he added with a condescending smile, before turning his back. Marcus stood there, clutching his portfolio, his chest tight with humiliation. But instead of lashing out, he simply nodded and left. As he walked out of the gallery into the bustling city streets, a fire ignited within him. This isn't the end, Marcus thought to himself. One day, they'll know my name. As Marcus stepped out of the gallery, his mind replayed Victor's words, each syllable cutting deeper than the last. Unfit, Victor had said, as if Marcus's art, and by extension, his very essence, was beneath consideration. The weight of rejection wasn't new to Marcus, but this one stung more than usual. This wasn't just about his art being turned away, it was about being dismissed outright, without even a chance. It felt personal, and for a moment, doubt crept in. Standing on the sidewalk, portfolio still in hand, Marcus looked up at the gallery's sleek sign. He could see through the glass facade where Victor was now laughing with a well-dressed couple, likely patrons. They didn't notice Marcus standing there. Maybe he's right, Marcus muttered to himself, his grip on the portfolio tightening. The words felt bitter on his tongue. But as quickly as the thought came, he pushed it aside. He turned and walked away, his resolve hardening with each step. They didn't reject my work because it's unfit, he thought. They rejected it because they don't see its value. Yet. That night, Marcus poured his emotions into a new painting. It was raw, vibrant, and unapologetic, capturing the anger, humiliation, and determination he felt. The strokes were bold, almost defiant, as if daring the world to ignore him again. In the corner of his modest studio, surrounded by unfinished canvases and empty paint tubes, Marcus made a promise to himself. "I'll make them see," he whispered. "One day, my work will be in places like that gallery, and they'll regret ever doubting me." Little did Marcus know, his journey was about to take an unexpected turn, one that would shake the very foundations of the art world and leave Victor speechless. It started with a simple idea. Marcus set up a makeshift studio in the middle of a busy park, armed with a large blank canvas, vibrant paints, and a vision. He began to paint, letting the rhythm of the city inspire each brushstroke. People stopped to watch, captivated by the way Marcus seemed to pour his soul onto the canvas. Unbeknownst to Marcus, a local vlogger happened to be filming that day. They captured the entire process, Marcus's focus, his fluid movements, and the breathtaking final piece. The vlogger uploaded the video to social media with the caption, "This artist's work speaks louder than words." The video spread like wildfire. Within days, it racked up millions of views, and Marcus's name started to trend. People couldn't get enough of his art. They were drawn to its raw emotion, its bold commentary, and its unfiltered truth. Soon, Marcus began receiving messages from art critics, gallery owners, and collectors from around the world. An influential art blogger wrote an article titled, "The Voice of a New Generation: How Marcus Redefines Art." It became a sensation. Not long after, Marcus was invited to showcase his work at a prestigious art exhibition in New York. His paintings, once ignored, were now the centerpiece of the event. Collectors bid fiercely for his pieces, with one painting selling for a record-breaking $2.5 million. As his success grew, Marcus stayed grounded, remembering the struggles that had shaped him. He used his newfound platform to advocate for underrepresented artists, hosting workshops and funding community art programs. But amid all the success, one thing lingered in Marcus's mind: the gallery that had dismissed him. With every new milestone, the memory of Victor's rejection fueled him. It wasn't about revenge, it was about proving to himself and the world that talent and determination could overcome prejudice and elitism. Unbeknownst to Victor, Marcus was already planning his return to the very gallery that had once turned him away. This time, the circumstances would be very different. The gallery hadn't changed much in the years since Marcus had last stepped through its doors. The same polished floors, the same pristine white walls, and even the same air of exclusivity lingered in the space. Marcus, however, was no longer the struggling artist he once was. Dressed in a tailored suit and carrying himself with quiet confidence, Marcus strode into the gallery. This time, heads turned, not because of skepticism, but because of his commanding presence. Victor, the gallery owner, approached with his trademark air of charm and calculation. He didn't recognize Marcus, now transformed by success and sophistication. "Welcome to our gallery," Victor said, his voice smooth. "Are you a collector?" Marcus smiled faintly. "You could say that," he replied. Victor's eyes gleamed with interest. A wealthy buyer was always a prize. "Let me show you some of our finest pieces," he offered, leading Marcus through the gallery. He pointed out works by established artists, their prices deliberately inflated for prestige. But Marcus wasn't interested. He scanned the walls, his gaze sharp and discerning. "Do you have anything by emerging artists?" he asked, his tone laced with subtle irony. Victor hesitated, unsure how to respond. Emerging artists weren't the gallery's focus, as Marcus knew all too well. "We tend to focus on more established names," Victor said, quickly recovering. "But I can assure you, these are investments worth making." Marcus let the moment linger, the weight of Victor's past dismissal heavy in his mind. "Interesting," Marcus said, his tone measured. "I remember visiting this gallery years ago. Back then, I was told my art wasn't fit for a place like this." Victor chuckled nervously, brushing off the comment. "Well, you know how it is. The art world can be selective." Marcus turned to face him, his expression calm but piercing. "Selective," he repeated. "And short-sighted." Victor's smile faltered as he searched Marcus's face. There was something hauntingly familiar about him, but he couldn't quite place it. As Marcus continued to browse the gallery, Victor followed closely, unaware of the storm brewing just beneath the surface. Marcus had come back for more than a nostalgic visit, he had come to make a statement. And Victor was about to learn that the artist he had dismissed was no longer seeking his approval. As Marcus moved through the gallery, his keen eye and thoughtful observations caught Victor's attention. Each comment Marcus made about the art displayed demonstrated not only a deep understanding of artistic techniques, but also a sensitivity to the emotional resonance of each piece. Victor found himself nodding along, impressed despite himself. "You've got quite the eye," he said. "Are you an artist yourself?" Marcus smiled knowingly but didn't answer directly. "I've dabbled," he replied, his tone enigmatic. Eventually, Marcus paused before a small painting tucked away in a dimly lit corner of the gallery. The piece, almost forgotten among the larger, more prominent works, depicted a raw and vibrant explosion of color. Its energy and emotion were unmistakable, but its placement suggested it was undervalued. Marcus leaned in slightly, studying the piece. "This reminds me of my early work," he said, his voice thoughtful. Victor tilted his head, curious. "Early work? You mean you've done similar pieces?" Marcus turned to face him, a faint smirk playing on his lips. "Yes. In fact, I created something almost identical, years ago. Back when I walked into this very gallery, hoping for a chance." Victor blinked, the realization starting to dawn on him. He studied Marcus's face more closely, his mind racing to piece together the connection. I'm sorry," Victor stammered, trying to mask his growing unease. "Have we met before?" Marcus chuckled softly, his eyes gleaming with quiet satisfaction. "Oh, we've met. You dismissed me without even looking at my portfolio." He gestured to the painting in the corner. "I guess this one reminds me of where I started, and of people like you who tried to keep me there." Victor's face paled as recognition hit him like a wave. The confident man standing before him was the same young artist he had once mocked and sent away. Marcus straightened, his smirk fading into a look of quiet power. "But I should thank you," he added. "Rejections like yours only made me work harder." Victor stood frozen, his carefully constructed facade beginning to crumble. He realized that Marcus was no longer the struggling artist he had dismissed, but someone who had outgrown and outshone the very gallery he once sought validation from. And Marcus wasn't done yet. Victor forced a smile, though his unease was palpable. "Well, the art world is full of surprises," he said, his tone shaky. "It seems you've come a long way. What brings you back here?" Marcus took a moment before answering, letting the weight of the moment hang in the air. "Curiosity," he said finally, his voice calm yet deliberate. "I wanted to see if this place had changed." He glanced around the gallery, his sharp eyes lingering on the opulent displays. "But it seems the only thing that's different is me." Victor laughed nervously, trying to recover his composure. "Well, as you can see, we've maintained our reputation for curating the best," he said, gesturing broadly to the gallery. "Perhaps I could interest you in a piece for your collection?" Marcus's expression didn't waver. "I already have a significant collection," he replied. Then, after a pause, he added, "In fact, I own several galleries now." The words hit Victor like a thunderclap. You own galleries?" he repeated, his voice faltering. Marcus nodded. "Yes. It's funny, isn't it? Years ago, I walked into this gallery, hoping for a chance to showcase my work. I was dismissed without a second thought." He stepped closer, his tone steady but piercing. "And now, not only is my art worth millions, but I also have the resources to buy this entire gallery if I wanted to." Victor's face turned ashen. I didn't realize," he stammered, struggling to find an excuse. "It wasn't personal. We have certain standards, you see. The clientele." "Spare me," Marcus interrupted, his voice firm but not unkind. "I know exactly what it was about. You judged me before you even saw my work. But here's the thing about talent, it doesn't need your validation to thrive." Victor swallowed hard, his confidence shattered. He realized that Marcus held all the power now, and there was nothing he could say to erase the memory of his rejection. Marcus let the silence stretch before speaking again. "I didn't come here for revenge," he said. "I came to remind you, and myself, that even the harshest rejection can fuel the greatest success." Victor nodded mutely, his gaze fixed on the floor. For the first time in his career, he was utterly humbled. Marcus turned to leave, but paused at the door. "Oh, and one more thing," he said over his shoulder. "Your standards? They need work." With that, he walked out, leaving Victor to contemplate the true cost of his arrogance. Marcus's words lingered in the air as he left the gallery that day, but his story with Victor wasn't over. After some careful thought, Marcus decided to take the ultimate step to turn his triumph into something meaningful. The very next week, Marcus returned, this time accompanied by a team of lawyers and advisors. Victor, still reeling from their previous encounter, greeted him nervously. "Victor," Marcus began, his tone measured but resolute, "I'd like to make you an offer, a generous one. I want to buy this gallery." Victor's eyes widened in disbelief. You're serious?" "Very serious," Marcus replied. "You've built a name for this place, but it's clear the vision needs to evolve. Under my ownership, this gallery will be a platform for talent that might otherwise go unseen. And yes, I'll pay you handsomely for it." Victor hesitated, but he knew the truth. Marcus had the resources, the reputation, and the drive to make this happen. Besides, the gallery had been struggling to stay relevant in recent years. With a heavy heart, and a considerable check, Victor signed the paperwork, handing over control to Marcus. Under Marcus's leadership, the gallery underwent a dramatic transformation. The pristine white walls were soon adorned with bold, unconventional works from artists of diverse backgrounds. The focus shifted to celebrating creativity and telling untold stories, rather than catering to the whims of elite buyers. On opening night, the gallery was unrecognizable. The space buzzed with energy as people from all walks of life admired the art. Emerging artists stood proudly beside their work, sharing their journeys with an audience that genuinely cared. Marcus took the stage, addressing the crowd. "This gallery was once a symbol of exclusion," he began, his voice steady and clear. "But no longer. From this day forward, it will be a space for discovery, for diversity, and for voices that deserve to be heard. No artist should ever be judged by their appearance or background." The audience erupted into applause, many moved to tears by Marcus's words. Victor, who had been invited as a guest, stood at the back of the room. He watched silently, a mix of regret and admiration flickering across his face. In the years that followed, Marcus's gallery became a beacon of hope for aspiring artists worldwide. It hosted exhibitions, mentorship programs, and community events, ensuring that no talent went unnoticed. Victor, now retired, often visited the gallery to see its success firsthand. Though he had once been the gatekeeper who turned Marcus away, he came to respect the man who had turned rejection into a force for good. As for Marcus, he continued to paint, his work evolving with each chapter of his life. His story became a testament to the power of perseverance and the importance of lifting others as you rise. Dared to dream, and to those who believed in them. And beneath it, one of Marcus's earliest works was displayed, a vibrant, defiant painting that reminded everyone who saw it of where it all began. Marcus's gallery quickly became a cultural phenomenon, a beacon for change in the art world. The once exclusive space now pulsed with life, filled with vibrant artwork and people from every background. It was no longer just a gallery, it was a movement. Marcus's vision had transformed the cold, elitist environment into a thriving community hub where creativity flourished. Artists who had once been overlooked found their work displayed alongside masterpieces. Marcus's gallery didn't just promote diversity, it celebrated it. The walls told stories of resilience, joy, struggle, and triumph, woven together in a tapestry that reflected the richness of human experience. News outlets hailed the gallery as a revolution in the art world, and Marcus became a symbol of hope for aspiring artists everywhere. One of Marcus's first major initiatives was the annual Emerging Voices exhibition. This event featured new artists from marginalized communities, giving them a platform to showcase their talent to collectors, critics, and the public. Each year, the exhibition drew larger crowds, attracting art enthusiasts and cultural icons eager to support the next wave of creativity. At one such event, Marcus stood in the gallery's main hall, surrounded by guests marveling at the artwork. A young artist named Leah approached him timidly, her eyes brimming with gratitude. "Mr. Marcus," she began, clutching a small notebook, "I just wanted to thank you. I never thought I'd see my work displayed in a place like this." Marcus smiled warmly. "Leah, your talent speaks for itself. I'm just glad the world gets to see it now." Leah nodded, wiping away a tear. "You've given me a chance I never thought I'd have. Thank you for believing in artists like me." Amid the gallery's success, Marcus often reflected on the journey that had brought him here. He had faced rejection, endured humiliation, and fought tirelessly to prove his worth. But those experiences had shaped him, fueling his drive to ensure that others wouldn't have to endure the same. One evening, while reviewing proposals for the next exhibition, Marcus received a message that surprised him. It was from Victor, the gallery's former owner. The message was simple: "Congratulations on all your success. I'd love to visit the gallery again, if you'll have me." Marcus stared at the message for a moment, memories of his first encounter with Victor flooding back. But instead of anger, he felt a sense of closure. He decided to extend an invitation. When Victor arrived at the gallery, he looked around in awe. The space was unrecognizable, brimming with energy and creativity. Marcus greeted him warmly, his demeanor calm and composed. "It's been a while," Marcus said, offering a handshake. Victor nodded, his expression one of humility. "I hardly recognize the place. You've done something extraordinary here." "Thank you," Marcus replied. "It's become what it was always meant to be, a place for art and artists, without barriers." Victor hesitated before speaking again. "I owe you an apology. I didn't see your potential back then, and I regret that." Marcus regarded him thoughtfully. "It's not about whether you saw it. It's about what I did with it. But I appreciate your words." Victor nodded, his respect for Marcus evident. "You've set a new standard for what a gallery can be. Thank you for allowing me to see it." As the years passed, Marcus expanded his vision beyond the gallery. He established a foundation dedicated to supporting emerging artists worldwide, providing grants, mentorship, and resources to help them succeed. The foundation's flagship program, Art Without Borders, brought together artists from different cultures to collaborate and share their perspectives. Through this initiative, Marcus met an artist named Amir, who had fled his war-torn country with nothing but his talent and determination. Amir's work, deeply rooted in themes of displacement and resilience, moved Marcus profoundly. With the foundation's support, Amir's art gained international recognition, proving once again that creativity transcends boundaries. Marcus also launched a series of community art centers, transforming underutilized spaces into vibrant hubs for workshops, exhibitions, and performances. These centers became sanctuaries for aspiring artists, fostering creativity and connection in underserved communities. Despite his global success, Marcus remained deeply connected to the gallery that had started it all. He often spent evenings there, walking among the artwork and reflecting on his journey. One night, as he stood before a piece from the Emerging Voices exhibition, a young visitor approached him. "Excuse me," the boy said, his voice hesitant. "Are you Marcus?" "The Marcus?" Marcus chuckled. "That's me. What can I do for you?" The boy held up a sketchbook. "I want to be an artist, but I don't know if I'm good enough." Marcus knelt to meet the boy's eyes. "Let me tell you something," he said. "Art isn't about being good enough for others. It's about expressing yourself, telling your story, and staying true to who you are. If you love it, keep creating. The rest will follow." The boy's face lit up with a smile. "Thank you, Mr. Marcus. I won't give up." Marcus watched as the boy ran off, his heart swelling with pride. Moments like these reminded him why he had fought so hard to create spaces where dreams could flourish. As Marcus's gallery celebrated its 10th anniversary, the world's attention turned to the man who had redefined the art industry. Journalists, collectors, and admirers gathered to honor his achievements, but Marcus remained humble. "This gallery isn't just mine," he said during his speech. "It belongs to every artist who dared to dream, every person who saw the world differently, and everyone who believed in the power of creativity. Together, we've built something extraordinary." The crowd erupted in applause, a testament to the lives Marcus had touched. As he stood there, surrounded by art and community, Marcus knew that his journey wasn't just about proving his worth. It was about creating a legacy that would inspire generations to come. In the heart of the gallery, a new plaque was unveiled. It read, "In honor of the artists who challenge, inspire, and transform our world. May their voices always be heard."